Are there ones that you're just personal big fans of, not necessarily the ones you're on?
I think Battlestar Galactica is the best thing on the air. That's for the team, I'm just saying that.
I think it's pretty well good television.
Yeah. I like Heroes, I like Lost, I like 400. I watch Eureka is a great show. I think there's actually a lot of really good stuff on the air right now. People who complain about television being, brainless, obviously aren't watching the right shows.
I would have to agree. I think television has come so far in the last 5 years even. I mean, shows like, and I've also discovered the DVD box set, which has saved my life because I'm quite bad. And TiVo, which is new for me, being Australian. I was like, I can just tell it I want to watch something, and it'll just tape it magically for a whole year. It's awesome. Look at billboards anymore. So I just program it in, and then I just come home after being away for a week, and all my shows are there. It's fantastic. Why was I saying that? I don't know. Oh yeah, my favourite is, I watch DVD box sets and I've been obsessed with Lost recently. So one after the other, I think I'm going to do 24 next.
I like old school television. I've got the box set of Fantasy Island. Mr. American's next to it. I've got Land of the Lost. Land when I can, because I deal with murder in real life, so I like to check out when I'm watching television.
Yeah, I actually watch your business. I medicate myself to like crime TV. and also, I can't remember what the question was, but anyway, I'm running with this.
Doesn't matter.
Have you ever seen The Look of Love, or The Age of Love? Yeah. So, it's where 40-something-year-old women compete with 20-year-olds for the love of a 30-year-old tennis pro that's been
Yes.
Holy cow. That's the greatest piece of crap. I love that Jayana bitch got kicked off last week.
Who's winning, the old ones or the young ones?
There's a few oldies there, but they don't stand a shit show. Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm 48 and I really think he's so sensitive and he's going to take me. Yeah, he doesn't want to have children or anything.
Speaking of reality, it does remind me, speaking of reality TV, singing career for you. Saw you last year doing a little singing on television.
More reality TV. I don't particularly, apart from that little thing I just told you, like reality TV, but it was just the chance to sing with Smokey Robinson. There's only the chance to sing with him. I got to do it like 3 times and Dionne Warwick was amazing. It's just like, my agents didn't want me to do it. I was going, they're bombing in Beirut, make a deal. It's joyful, just do something stupid. It's very risky and it's scary and everything, but it's so much fun. The payoff is awesome. Do it in your life.
I was on My Fair Radiator bachelorette party for Adrian Curry at their wedding, and that was a blast, and that was mindless and stupid, but I had a great time.
All right, now we're going to sort of questions. Before we do, I have one favor to ask everybody. We need to get a picture of all you guys holding up your TV Guide fans. So,
How do we get a copy?
We all want a copy. We'll leave our email.
I'm going to try to get it to you. All right, thank you guys for doing this.
Lucy, do your VDAC for you.
All right, by the way,
I've forgotten how to do the walk.
You did it backstage, so
That's the sign that we're done. When Lucy breaks out,
That lady will sing.
not so much singing, but actually, all right, let's start with the questions. What do you have first?
This is for Allison DeBlois. When there was the TV show Medium, did you go to the studios asking for a TV show, or did they come and say?
That's a good question. No, I actually was being tested in a laboratory by scientists, and they were contacted by Paramount, who was putting together like more of a reality show, where they took 120 of us, whittled us to 18, and then we went toe-to-toe for one of 5 positions, and it's called The Oracles. And I didn't actually intend to make it, I just wanted to see what other people like me looked like. I ended up making the 5, and Kelsey Grammer was co-producing that. And we kept in touch, and a year and a half later, they called and said, we believed you, and we would like to make a television series based on your life. So, no, I wasn't actually looking for Hollywood, it kind of came to me. So, thanks for asking.
She's doing an autograph signing, huh?
I got a pen.
She's saving me 50 minutes of lining up.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Is it hard for you to separate? Like, do you read the script?
I do read the scripts beforehand, and I have called them and said, it said, don't paint me as a drug addict. Don't paint me as crazy. Everything else I can deal with. So, there's been a couple where Glenn Cairns walked the line a little, and I, called them up and said, this line might need to be changed.
Those are two good standards to have, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
I set my standards high.
Yes. It's all downhill like that. Okay, next question.
This is for Lucy. I just want to say I think you're amazing. Everything that you've done is amazing. But I think you're especially funny, and especially the Xena comedy episodes. My very favorite. Are we going to see you doing any comedy?
I don't know. I started out in comedy, and I did quite a lot of it, but I went off and I took a break really to have kids and then to actually be there to raise them took a little bit of time. And I don't know. I don't think people see me as that, because all the people that were actually hands-on in the show have left. The business moves around, executives and everything move around, so they just remember some woman with black hair who would kick butt and
I just need to meet you or see you in person or see you here.
yeah. I guess so. It's just taking a little bit of time to remind people that I exist. So
I see a lot of people that haven't forgotten that you exist.
Lisa mentioned Star Trek Voyager and Captain Janeway earlier on in the panel because it's so close to a question I wanted to ask. It seems like there's an invisible glass ceiling at certain parts of certain series and certain roles for women where if they reach a certain pinnacle of success in terms of work or career on the show, the character gets hit with illness or infirmity or infertility. There's a certain level they can't break through. The best example of this is most recently the character of Addison Montgomery on Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice. The character had an abortion and left 2 bad relationships, in a stunning display of empowerment, but then got saddled with sterility. Do you think that there's a glass ceiling that female characters are still hidden in certain roles in the industry?
You mean, do I think that they sort of get punished for their success
Yes.
fictionally? No, not more than the male characters do. I think that when you get any character into some kind of position of power or success, you want to torture them. That's where you get the drama, and that's where you get the fun of the characters. And I think that's true for male or female characters. I mean, I think if you look at Grey's Anatomy, you get somebody like Nicodreamy, who sure gets offered, the chiefship and then essentially gets, the cold shoulder from his girlfriend. I think that is, you could call that a punishment if you wanted to, but I think that it's just drama. You just want to throw as many, difficulties as your characters as they can handle, and then a couple more.
Hi, I wanted to thank you for being here, and also to say that you inform, you educate, and you inspire. Sorry, that's why I'm on this side of the camera, but I lived through a lot of your stories, and especially Mr. Bois too. But I wanted to ask you, there's always a turning point in your life when you decide to go one way to be an actress or not. So when you came to that turning point, what was your choice? This is for all of you. To become the star or what you leave behind?
You've got to choose whether you want to be a star or a human being sometimes. And I know, that's not, I don't actually know any stars. But for me, it was, I've never been sorry for the choices I made, which took me out of the loop. And I'm back.
Because I put some people on death row. So you have to think about safety and all. But aside from that, I don't regret what I've done. The man before he was talking about glass ceilings, and maybe you would know in my books I write, you don't break a glass ceiling without getting cut. That's just the way it is, and that's how you bring change. And so I don't regret it because it's touched the show medium's touched a lot of people and allowed them to feel comfortable in their own skin and be themselves. And so, and I want to teach my girls that whatever they decide to do in life, don't let somebody tell you that you can't because they're saying they can't because maybe it's not possible for them, but it doesn't mean it's not possible for you. So.
Because it's so hard, and I've had those times, and I think they're the defining ones for you, is when you get to that really tough spot and you think, I can't hack it, and then you get up the next day and go back to the next audition, and that's the job you get, So I'm glad that I stuck through that.
Family stories.
Sorry, Amtrak is so efficient.
Thank you for making it. We do appreciate it, and I don't know if anybody next has a question for Marty, but
actually, it'll be for both Marty and Lisa. But first, Lucy, welcome back to Battlestar Galactica. The question would be really for Marty and Lisa, but everyone else can chime in. What the cookie cutterness of your major network television, and I asked this question to one of the writers of Battlestar Galactica, if Battlestar, do you think would be a network show, not a sci-fi, if it would be successful? But the question really is, do you see maybe not only the genre, but television in general, writing going up? And I asked the question because I am a writer and I'm trying to break in. And I don't see a lot of the character-driven TV shows on your major networks. Battlestar has to go to sci-fi. Another brilliant show that's on is The L Word. They're on Showtime. You see a lot of those style of shows on the not the minor networks, but I guess it's easier to break in there. And the question is, do you see the networks, whether it be ABC, NBC, or any of the bigger ones, getting shows like that and getting away? And I understand it's a business, but do you see them getting away from the cookie cutter, safe, low production reality and going more to those type of shows?
Sci-fi, those networks have the balls to do something outside of it. So it's not that they're less, that they are Audacia and they have...
Do they have fewer restrictions? I'm asking, because I don't know. The cable has less restrictions.
Yeah, and for content.
I don't know, what do you find being good? doing television?
I think a lot of people actually think that TV is in a really better place than it's been in a long time, partly because of all the choices. ABC is programming some really interesting stuff this season, Fishing Daisies. Amazing. I think that Lost and a couple of other shows kind of broke the mold and allowed for some innovation. And it's all sort of, it's viewer driven. If people will come to it, they'll put more of it on. So if people watch Fishing Daisies, that will continue the trend of, offbeat programming. But, the great thing about being a TV writer right now is that you have so many outlets. Network isn't necessarily the way to go, and certainly something I hope to do someday is work off network again, because certainly, they are trying to hit the broadest possible audience. So.
Good. We have time for one quick question. Go ahead.
My name is Jordan. Lisa, I'm a huge fan of yours. And I understand, by the way, you are going to be in front of the camera in a couple of days. Is that true?
Yes, I'm going to be contestant on Jeopardy.
Congratulations. Good luck. My question very quickly is, can each of you address your weirdest or most meaningful fan interaction? And I'm not in, by the way.
Lucy, I bet you've got some weird ones.
Yeah, I was just going through the catalog going on. I was actually present at the death of a fan. Wow. Very meaningful. And because I got to know this person over the years and just liked her. And got a call that she had cancer. I knew about it through mutual friends, and I went to visit her, and she had this video of her childhood. And she had grown up in a foreign country, and I said to her, she was terribly sick at this point, and but in denial. I wanted second opinions. It's like, yeah, I mean, her organs. I won't go into it. Anyway, and I said, actually, I'd love to see that. And I think she thought I was Xena that day, and she went off to La La Land watching Xena watch the childhood movie she always wanted me to see, and we stayed with her, but she died in the night, and I think she thought I was Xena.
Or an angel.
I don't know. She knew better than that. That's why she liked me.
I get sent hair in the mail sometimes because people think I can touch it and pull off the impressions of their life, and I'll write them back. Send me hair and I'm writing back. I've got some interesting articles in the mail as well, pictures, prison mail, but I had a similar experience, not at the child's death, but it was a little girl who was a fan, and she had leukemia, and she didn't have her hair, and her mom shaved her head so that she didn't have her hair too, so her daughter would feel funny about it. And I came and visited her, and we still keep in touch with her and let her know that she matters. And I think that's the most important thing any of us can do with our position, is to elevate other people when we can.
I just love it when fans draw my picture and send it to me. Very interesting.
Somebody did Buffy staff writer bobbleheads. Oh my This is the end.
Yeah.
This is the end.
Yeah.
If we want to get to Marty Maximo, can't we just get 2 seconds long?
We kind of have to go on a lot of this, which means I'm going to have to get killed. I appreciate you guys coming. Sorry we've sort of run out of time.
No.
You have to
Talk fast, Marty.
You missed it. All right.
I didn't have anything good to say that. But the only thing I was going to say is I met some really nice people on the Amtrak just now. They were great fans. But one time when we were doing the Willow Tara storyline,
a young girl came to me with her dad, and her dad told me that she came out to him because of the show, and that he, because of the show, was able to kind of get it in a way that he hadn't before. And I think, Josh cried like a baby. I was
This is for Lucy. I just wanted to comment that I was the one that kept my top on at the Roxy.
You were the one. It has budgeting.
Yes. The charge. I had a chance to party with Kiwis down in the South Island, and I got to know them and realized that Kiwis are probably the most evolved in a lot of respects as far as culture and gender roles and craziness and drinking. Not the awesome, but it's a shame of that. But anyway,
I'm really lucky I didn't hear that.
that's right. Did New Zealand and Kiwi and your experiences with Kiwi affect Zena, because it was such an open and gender blind and culture and race blind and what have you?
It's a very egalitarian society. It's one of it and Sweden are like the least corrupt because it's so small. You know, your mother's going to hear about it. If you fill the books or whatever, your mother is going to.
But that's why it showed up on Xena the way it did, because it was down.
Yeah, and they love being the underdog, and we didn't have very much money, and we were all, a lot of love went into it. Consequently, shows like that, and I know being on set, this was on Burn Notice, do you guys know about it? He's working on that with Bruce Campbell, right? Anyway, yes, I'm on episode 9. Anyway, but when you're on a set where everything's working, you guys will notice it's greater than the sum of its parts, because there's so much, the intangible is just this love and strive and this pride in what they do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out. Allison, my question's for you. With Medium, I'm a big fan, and this last season they had an episode about a comic book person that was kind of interesting that now you're at Comic-Con. What I was wondering was, what episode was closest to the actual life stories, and what episode was far-fetched?
Okay, I'll start with the closest. The first episode, that was my first case I worked. It was the Texas Rangers. You know, I was going to be a prosecutor. I was, it's not like I thought being a medium would be such a great, easy path to walk. And so I took some random cases, missing persons cases, and faxed them to law enforcement across the country to prove to myself I wasn't doing what I thought I was doing, and ended up being asked to come to Texas. And so that was my first case, and I was interning in homicide. I do work with a DA like the one that's portrayed by Miguel Sandoval on the show. My husband's name is Joe. We do have 3 daughters with the abilities. And there was also an episode where my daughter had an imaginary friend that turned out to be a child who had died, and that happened. I also have a brother named Michael that's not comfortable with his abilities, and he's kind of a wild card. And there's a character, Michael, that's like my brother. And so they came out and actually met my family and studied them before they wrote it. And so I'm very, very proud of that. But I told them, anybody that lives in Arizona, we don't have southwestern houses. It doesn't fit right. So I try and keep them on the straight and narrow with that. But the episodes where they have like the video camera being possessed or something of that nature, I don't let the other side or serial killers who have died take over me. That's not something I would do. I'm stronger than that. So I see the character as a little nicer than I am in real life, and I'm a little bit more in the dirt about things when I'm at work. And I carry a gun. I'm one of the boys.
You are fascinating.
Episodes I could pull apart that are actually based on something that happened when I was a jury consultant, and they put me on the stand. It was from something I said to Glenn Cairn, and it's what Patricia won the Emmy for, was that actual episode. And it's where I said, I hope I can't be in the courtroom now that they know who I am. That killed my being a jury consultant profession for all time. What does Glenn Cairn do? He writes an episode where I get put on the stand. So sometimes he plays on my fears, what my fears are. He'll write an episode around it, like if something happened to my girls. Obviously, that's every mother's biggest fear. Mine, it could be different. They might want me to, find them, something of that nature. So I have to be very careful separating my real life from what's on TV. But I think they do a very good job at portraying who I really am. My husband Joe's personality is an aerospace engineer, like on the show. And then my girls are like other girls, except they know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's just a little different.
Do you ever want to give it up? Does it ever creep you out and you just go, enough already?
The victims are always like my family. While I'm working that case, that child's got to be my child, so to speak. So when I get to when I get to the head of the killer, it's for the child, it's for the victim. So I have to put my emotions aside, do it, and fall apart later, which is fine. I can do that. But I was given this ability for a reason, so I'm kind of grabbing the bull by the horns.
Does it ever go away? The ability just evaporates?
If you're distracted by too many things around you, you're not as cued into what's going on. So if you're distracted, it can be kind of white noise for you. But I never relinquished it. I can't imagine what it'd be like not to be able to head tap somebody when I'm bored, or talk to the other side.
All right, we have last question.
I want to know, for all 5 of you girls, I want to know how you got to work on the show instead of just for boys.
Do you want to do it? Would you want to do it?
Sure.
Starts with just wanting it when you're your age. You see somebody on TV and you go, oh, that's a real person. They're actually getting paid to do that job. And you go, I could do that. And you kind of play at it, don't you? When you're a little girl, you put on shows with your friends and you do it at school, and before you know it, you're 30 age.
How old are you, by the way, Sue?
I'm Alexis and I'm 9.
Yeah, I think the good news, Alexis, is it's not that hard for girls anymore. Especially, with all the great women up here. I think, by the time you're old enough to have your first job, which I hope is not for a couple of years. All you have to do is work hard and believe that you can do it,
Work on being an actress and not a star, because
Work on being a writer and not an actor.
That's actually the perfect note